Dogs are important.
Dogs
So,
are important.
Jason,
Yes,
tell us
Tom.
what you just done.
Just completed the 2019 Cloudride Prologue over the Canberra Day long weekend.
And how was it?
It was good.
Did you have fun?
Yes, I think at the end of the day you would say yes, it was fun. Sort of hit pretty much all of my expectations along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was basically as I expected that it would be. Tough, really tough in a lot of sections. A lot of long, just pedalling hard, fairly flat sections, but just pedal for 2 hours straight.
So district roads, sort of.
A lot of corrugated stuff where you had to really, pick your lines. Two really big hills on day one.
So that was out of Mikalago?
Out of Mikalago up the Tinderry range, and then into whatever that valley is called, and then up the Talagandra range, I think it is.
And that was on...
That was all day one.
All day one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so got to close to the top of the Talagandra range on day one, 135.
Because there was a group of you camped down the bottom, like the most southern part of the course, really.
There was, yeah. So that was about 7 k's short of the top of Talagandra range.
Okay.
It was about 1,000 vertical metres still short though, in that 7 kilometres.
Wow.
So it was still a torturous ride, but we just got to the point where it was starting to get too dark. None of us wanted to ride in the dark up on those sort of hills. And we found a reasonable camping spot. It wasn't fantastic. It was in amongst a whole heap of trees, but it was behind a big pile of blue metal, so weren't that visible, so it worked out okay.
Yeah, and there's a few of you, so that was good.
I think there was 7 of us initially, and there ended up being about 9 because 2 people showed up middle of the night and just thought, yep, this spot looks good.
Seems right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how did the bike go? You were just telling me that you had to baby it through some of the tough stuff, but the rest of it was good?
Bike performed really well. 40mm tyres, Maxxis Ramblers.
You were pretty stoked with them when you put them on?
Yeah, I think they were pretty much perfect for the job. There was a bit certainly on day 2, on the eastern side of the Talagandra range, so heading down into Braidwood.
Mm-hmm.
There was a bit, could have used maybe some wider tyres, maybe a bit of suspension, would have been nice as well. But a lot of that sort of stuff was just, take it easy, ride to the condition, don't try and compete with the guy on the dually that flies past you down the hill, You just ride the bike for what the bike is.
Yeah.
But once we got down onto the more sort of country roads, dirt roads, paved roads, it was a dream. It was, rolled beautifully, rolled so much nicer than any of those bikes that they were on. So.
And do you know how much it weighs as it is?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
But we can grab a scale later on.
Yeah, grab some scales and before we start unpacking it, probably do it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think probably took the water bottles out, did you? There's no water in it?
There's no water in it. Want to fill them up? Fill them up.
No, alright. Well, that's easy enough to guess how much is in there.
Yeah, absolutely. But otherwise, the bike is as is.
Yeah.
And the backpack is as is as well.
Because this is Wednesday night and you finished on Tuesday afternoon.
Finished on Tuesday, 12:55.
Yeah, lunchish.
Despite what it says on Facebook, I actually beat Dante home, so I'm going to correct that. You might have noticed that. I'm going to correct that with the...
last time I checked before you got there, I was like, he's right behind you, coming down into basically past your house. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so I caught up to Dante, just on East Talagandra Lane, just before we hit the pavement. So still 20 k's out of Bradman. Rode with him for about 3 minutes. He was really struggling, so I tried to give him a little bit of encouragement with, the road's on the way and, we're nearly there, it's all good. But I wasn't going to let him pass me. So I'll correct that with Steve, the organiser.
Not that it matters.
But I didn't want to make a fight. I think it's important to correct it for the actual record, but I don't care about on Facebook. Who cares?
Yeah.
irrelevant. I know what I did.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I was only about 10 minutes behind another guy, Peter, who I was chasing from gunning.
Yeah. He runs a site, have you seen it, about cyclists on the
Yeah, I have.
Western Australian desert.
Yep.
There,
Yep, I have seen something about that, yes.
Canning Stopper.
That's it. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I think it's smashing, he's really old.
Oldest person on the course, apparently, riding a Julie. He camped with a tarpaulin and a silk.
So he was running pretty light.
A tarpaulin and a silk.
Yeah.
So night one, top of the range, I don't know, we must have been at 1,400 metres, I'd say.
It's a bit chilly.
He said he was a block of ice. Now, I wasn't super warm, but I had a fully enclosed tent with a sleeping bag down to 5 degrees, with a silk, with thermals, with a beanie, with a pillow. So he would have been miserable.
Was it just covered us that night when we were down the Shoalhaven there?
I
was pretty cold.
think it was, but I think I was better prepared for it.
Okay.
Like I was better dressed.
Yeah.
So I think it was.
Because I've got a better quilt now, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that on that night, there was a really heavy fog that came in. It wasn't rain, but a really heavy fog, and it all condensed on the trees above us, and then it got windy, so it felt like it was raining.
Okay.
It was everything was soaked. In fact, on day 2, the tent being in here, I put the inner of the tent back in a dry bag, and the fly I had out the front.
To dry out.
Yeah, and I rolled it and unrolled it 3 or 4 times during the day, just to turn it inside out and let it, a little bit of air pass over it, which seemed to work actually pretty well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed, because I was setting up and it started to rain. I've got way too many moving parts. So I've got the hammock, the under hammock,
Yeah, okay.
the under quilt, and the quilt, and then the tarp. And it's like this. Plus the hammock, you have to put straps around the trees and stuff like that.
So before you could get things done, it was already getting wet?
Well, it was just fitting, so I didn't get wet,
Right.
really. But I was thinking the whole time, if it was actually raining, I'd be pretty screwed. You have to find some way to put out the tarp first, and then do everything underneath it, which is what I had to do in the morning. So I had to do everything else and leave the tarp up.
Absolutely.
So
certainly one thing that I found doing this event is this is not bikepacking. This is, as it says, it's endurance racing. So you have to go with the mindset of you're not going to go and sit and enjoy a coffee in the morning at your campsite. You're not going to, sing Kumbaya around a campfire in the evening.
With your guitar.
Exactly. Which is kind of a little bit the mindset that I kind of went with.
Yeah.
You can see later on I took a couple of little fire things and I thought I'll have a nice little fire in the evening. That lifts the spirits. And you go light. You go with your bare essentials because it's a race. You want to try and finish as fast as you can. If you want to go and just enjoy yourself, then you go for a ride on the Brindabellas.
You do ride
down the coast. Potentially.
You're not locked into anything, so.
Yeah.
But that was just time pause.
Not that I was locked into anything, but you were there for a reason. You weren't there to sit at camp. You were there to ride that route as quickly as you could.
If you're not riding, you're pretty much sleeping.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I sent a text to my brother. You ride, you eat, you ride, you eat, you ride, you eat, you sleep. You eat, you ride, you eat, you ride, you eat, you ride, you sleep.
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah. Didn't take many photos because every time you think, that'd be a good photo, you also then think, if I pull over now and I stop, I'm not just going to take a photo. I'm going to get off my bike. I'm going to go, geez, I'm sore. I'm going to go to the toilet. I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to find a reason not to get back onto the bloody thing so quickly. Yeah. So instead, you just go, just keep going.
Yeah, cool.
And even doing that took me 3 days and 3.5 days.
It's 500 k's.
505.
We've got that scales.
Don't sell me short. Yep, I'm good. Good.
Alright, I think here. Yep, so I've got some scales now.
Alright, we'll do the calculation.
Oh, we should have weighed you beforehand. Do you know how much you weigh?
Yeah, that's right, we can weigh me right now.
No, but before the ride.
98.9, that's not good, is it?
Sub-100.
It's about right. When I got back from the ride, I think I was 96.
Yeah,
That's pretty normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So, let's see how we go.
.2, so what's that, 22?
Yeah, 120.2. So whatever that calculation is.
21.1 or something.
I think that's pretty reasonable,
That's not
considering
bad.
the bike weight.
The bottles are empty?
Bottles are empty.
So you got 3 kilos. Oh, look, that one's half full. So you got probably 2 kilos on that?
Yep.
Which is...
Plus a backpack.
Had your backpack?
Had my backpack. There wasn't an awful lot in there.
This one?
Yeah. Yep. Should we do that again?
No, that's fine. Just
Alright.
give you some idea of what extras you have.
Yep. We'll do that first.
Yeah.
So a backpack with a 3 litre bladder in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I really only ran probably twice with 2 litres in it.
Yeah.
More of the sort of technical sections. Otherwise, I figured I could do a good 2.5 hours on the 3 bottles at least.
Mm.
And I sort of knew my water refill spots in between that.
Yeah.
Flashing red light. Should have taken extra batteries. So these ones lasted, but I don't think they were bright enough towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
I did have 4 extra batteries, but I needed to use those in my headlamp.
Okay.
There's my dog. Toilet paper.
Yeah.
Used. That one's not used.
Don't bring back the used stuff.
No. For some reason I took 2 of these little spoony things.
Double two-fisting.
Something, yes, yeah, exactly. Again, I don't know why 2, but I did. Toothbrush and a little tiny toothpaste.
Excellent. Dental hygiene, always important.
Absolutely. I don't know if I would take it next time, although it doesn't weigh anything.
Mm.
You know, you start to think, let's get rid of weight, but it doesn't actually weigh anything. So probably
It's
only used it
mindset,
like 3
It's
times.
online, so.
It's true, and that's huge.
See, you could like snip these on.
Yes. Compass.
Compass, yes.
Didn't use it,
Part of the safety element of things.
absolutely, and I only had compass and phone, and I figured if for some reason my phone's broken, I need some way. Although you never, the event I just did, you're never really that far away from anything. You know?
Yeah.
What else have we got in here? Got a couple of gels. Didn't need them. Took 4 for the whole event. Used 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just when I felt particularly down. Took some medical tape.
Mm-hmm.
Again, first 80 sort of stuff. 2 extra straps.
Yeah.
Probably overkill, because if you sort out your kit before you leave, then...
Right. But this is the first time we've done it with this setup, so it's always good to run a bit safer.
It is, yep.
Redundancy, you pack your fears, what they say.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. A little lighter, which I couldn't find. So, good idea to know where you pack things.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, I had a spare pair of waterproof matches, which were in the same spot as the lighter, but I couldn't find that, of course. Right, that's all that's in that front little pack there. Food-wise, I didn't have anything in that pack. I had MP3 player, which I was able to charge off my batteries, which you'll see. I had a poncho, didn't use. My leftover meal ready to eat, MRE, there you go. My granola with milk and blueberries. Didn't have any water available at the time, so I just ate it dry, which was a new experience.
Nice.
It was okay. Soya, don't leave home without it. Used it 4 times.
I was gonna, we were all gonna, at that that first, when you come over the big hill out of Mikalago, roll down, and then like that water point that we were going to supply it, there's a big sign saying, "Oh, water uphill."
Absolutely. Did you go there?
Yeah, I stopped there.
Yeah. So
I said, "I'm not actually part of the race."
Oh, really?
Fine.
You should have. What did the
Because I was at that stage.
What are the other two
that
that came through? Yeah. What did they say?
Callum came past me, and
what did he say? Did you say anything?
Oh, I just said, "No, are you racing?" And I said, "No, I'm just a fan."
You should have. You said, "Yeah, I don't know where you've been." I don't know where you've been.
No, because I expected. Well, I expected to be a lot further along before they caught.
Absolutely.
But he was hooking.
Yeah.
Like and then, I was going way slower than I thought I was going to go. So,
it was way tougher than anyone expected it was going to be. Apparently, this year's prologue was easier than last year's as well.
Right.
So I was told. Yeah. By a guy that overtook me going up Tinderies.
Yeah.
A couple of napkins that I picked up in Gunning while enjoying my schnitzel for dinner.
We didn't see that.
You saw it? Did you post that today?
Yeah.
What do I got here? Okay, so I've got my battery, three batteries in there. Don't actually know why they're in there. That would have just been from at the end of the race. I just chucked it in because that actually lived in the frame bag. So that's a 10,000 milliamp. There's a 2,500 and a 2,000.
Yeah.
And I got through no problems with that.
Yeah, I got two 10,000s now.
Yep. So that charged my phone, I reckon 5 times. Charged the MP3 3 times. Charged this rear light 3 times. And that's it.
Yeah.
And I think there's still a little bit of charge in the big one. None of that. One of those. Hat for hanging out at camp.
Cafe stops.
Which you would never ever need in this sort of event, so don't bother.
Yeah.
It's just, it weighs nothing, but it's pointless.
Yeah.
Didn't know what the water supplies were going to be like.
Yeah.
So I took some old stockings from the wife to filter.
And the wife.
Particularly nasty, to filter particularly nasty dam water or whatever it happens to be.
And you do that again because they don't take any of the no.
It doesn't, no weight involved.
No weight.
And I've got a little top pocket here and a couple of extra goodies in it. That's it from that bag. I have.
So did the backpack or kick in?
Yep, so that's a secondary little filter.
Yep.
Again, didn't weigh anything, so I just took it. I have some Aquatabs, chemical treatment for water, just in case. I have.
I was watching a YouTube clip the other night about someone who didn't sleep with their soya in their sleeping bag, and it froze, and when they froze, they broke.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, like, I've got no water filtration at all, so tabs, definitely.
It says that on the soya as well, I'm sure. It says if it freezes, it's no good. Bit of extra spare cash. So I took in one of these little guys, one of those sort of bags, license, FPOS card, and some cash. This is just normal cash that lives in my bag. Anyway, little pad. You never know. Some contact details.
Yeah. Just your phone number?
Yeah, just phone numbers and contacts and all those sorts of things. A moist towelette, because you never know when you're going to have a little shower. What am I going to eat? Crikey. Some more toilet paper. Some beverage-based orange type from an MRE. So that's a high...
Like a hydrolytic type thing?
Yes. Yeah, so that's just in that sort of pack. That's a bit of an emergency sort of holy crap pencil, some gum.
Instead of a toothbrush?
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, and a couple of coins.
Yeah.
I don't know, phone calls in a phone box. I mean, not that you use that sort of thing anymore, but you never know.
Yeah, sure.
So also in that bag, I took a bit of food. So I took some... probably 4 or 5 sort of Cliff bars, 4 or 5 Cliff blocks, but I also had plenty of room in that bag for going through towns, so I could fill up and resupply what I needed to.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Whatever this is called.
Top tube bag.
Top tube bag. So this is my daily eating for when I'm out, when I'm obviously riding.
Mm-hmm.
Things like muesli bars, Cliff bars, what else I have, and the Cliff blocks. So I allowed myself 2 of the Cliff block packs per day. Not eating them as per recommended, but I found that was sort of enough for me. Eating them as recommended was going to be way too much.
And which ones were they?
They're just different. You know, the little gel.
Yeah, but so the orange ones have 25 milligrams of caffeine.
Oh, I didn't look at that. I just.
The blackberry ones have 50 milligrams of caffeine.
Right.
And the there's the one that has 4 times the sodium as well.
Didn't even look at it. So I had orange ones, I had raspberry or strawberry ones, I had blackberry ones.
Yeah.
I had the whole range basically.
Yeah, so I've only got the orange and the blackberry because that's the only place I get my caffeine because I don't drink coffee.
Right.
So when I want a hit, I'll if I want a big hit, I'll take the blackberry ones. And then if I want a little bit, I'll take.
I just opened a packet, ate 2. 20, an hour later, ate another 2. An hour later, ate another 2. I was probably drinking 10 cups of coffee a day like that.
Yeah.
Pocket knife.
Yeah.
So, just because you need a knife, I mean, you don't have to be too concerned safety-wise in Australia, but pocket knife.
It's not London.
It's not London. It's not Africa somewhere. Had a couple of little lollies. Had a huge handful of like jelly lollies as well, but they were all gone in the first hour. So found these little things super handy and really lightweight. So it's just like a double-sided Velcro.
Yeah, I have the same thing.
Yeah, and I found that I've used that especially to hold water bottles on, going through some of those hills, coming down some of the steeper bits, some of the rougher bits. Your water bottles all over the place, like we found going down the coast. Water bottles popping out all over the place. So I had spare, plus I had enough of the two front water bottles, and I had this cage here running just as a spare, so I could buy a bottle of Gatorade or whatever it was in town and chuck it in. So that worked well. And that's it. That's all I had in that top bag.
Yep.
Tent. Go to the front. So that's just strapped on. The whole sort of system's just strapped on with this guy. Which probably wasn't ideal because I did have to stop quite a few times to readjust and retighten. Things would move around.
Same thing with mine.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of work involved in that. That's a one-person Zephyr. Open it up, or I reckon it's going to do. One-person Zephyr on we had one wet day, or it wasn't wet, a wet night I suppose you would call it, where I left the fly out of the dry bag and strapped the fly to the top of the front of the bars so I could...
Does it need poles or not?
Yes it does. So, got the tent, poles in here. The poles are a bit longer.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. And that's your sleep stuff?
Yeah, so that's the tent, and then in this another dry bag here, so I think for future events like this, I would not take this dry bag because I found it bulky and probably heavy for what it's doing, as opposed to a dry bag like that.
Yeah, the still nylon stuff's a step up in weight, or step down in weight from these stuff. I've got 2 of these.
Yeah,
possibly.
I reckon that's probably hardier.
Yeah.
So if you're going a long way and you're concerned about
rowing.
Yeah, but on a shorter distance you're concerned about weight. I think I'd go. I could leave that at home and go with another one of those. So in here I had my rain jacket, so easy access. I had this guy, but we'll talk about that in a second. I had rain pants. They're actually quite heavy weight ones, so again going forward I would potentially look at.
What I've done with mine is I've cut them off just below the knee.
Yep.
So you lose like all that stuff, and it doesn't really matter.
You're going to get wet feet anyway.
You're going to get wet feet. and like if it's that bad, I'll probably take waterproof socks.
Absolutely.
But and you lose like quite a bit of weight off them, so
yeah, for sure.
as long as they're not your most precious thing.
Cedar Summit ultralight sleeping mat.
Yeah.
Wouldn't leave home without it.
Yeah.
Beautiful night. Beautiful night.
You can leave home without it. Sleep in a hammock.
Sleep in a hammock, but then you've got to be worried about when you're sitting up in the rain. Fuss. So then, in the bottom of this, or the very end of this, I have compression sack, which again I think I would consider not taking, but that would be a little bit of a work in progress. But in that compression sack, normally, I would have my sleep system. So, merino top, long sleeve merino top, blow up pillow.
It looks good.
Okay.
Luxury.
Bamboo socks, merino pants, 5-degree sleeping bag. I think it's just polyester, whatever. Yeah, synthetic, and a silk. So I didn't use the silk, but I believe that takes you down another couple of degrees if you have it. I don't know, it doesn't weigh anything, so probably would take it.
I used to run, because you're supposed to leave, like I've got a down one now, so you're supposed to leave it lofted like most of the time.
Yeah.
And then it's good, you can squash down nice and small, and that stuff all fits in here, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I used to run them without a compression bag. But with a compression bag, you can get them really down, really tight and small.
And then you lose a few degrees in temperature value, don't you?
No, not really. It's if you leave it like for 6 months, like squashed down, and then it has trouble bouncing back.
Yep.
But that's one of those things. Like previously, I have done it without the compression sack, but I've actually discovered that you can get it really it turns into a little rock hard brick. Yeah. But it's a small brick.
It is, yeah.
So it's put it in different spots.
I mean, this was just a thought on track, thinking that could be quite heavy, but that really weighs nothing.
It's not really. I mean, they do make nice and light ones of those, but now, so.
Yeah. So, considering the amount of stuff that I had in there, it's probably the trade-off's probably well worth it. Cool. Back.
What's in your spoiler at the back there?
Right. So
the most important thing.
Yes.
Yeah, cup on the side.
Yes. Oh yes. We can go with that first.
So Bikepacker now.
Little enamel cup, rusting already. Got some nice dings in it.
Did it fall?
No, that's just from bang over 550 kilometres. Although I think that happened already before. Another one of these straps to stop a little bit of wag, because I don't know how else to stop it. It just sort of is what it is. It doesn't seem to matter how tight you do things up or how you position things. Yeah. I found that I could definitely reduce the sway, obviously, of course, in hindsight, by packing the heavier things in the back right down the bottom. So I have jet boil and stuff pushed right in as far as I can. So this was expanded a bit further, generally, with food. So day one I took dinner and breakfast, and that was it, because I knew I'd be able to hit Braidwood for lunch, which turned into 4 o'clock. But being the kind of person I am, I had plenty of bars and it was never a food issue. Just a loose-fitting pair of shorts for around camp. Or in town. Not so much in town, because you're going to be in your nicks. You're not really stopping in town, although I did wear them for a schnitzel, so it'd be better than nicks. Weigh nothing, cover everything, don't need underpants. Perfect. Rubber bands times plenty, because you can always use rubber bands. This is a real luxury. A little towel. So I didn't take any kind of shoes, except for my riding shoes. So once you're in camp, you're either in your riding shoes or you're in your tent essentially. But sometimes getting in and out of your tent in these little tiny things, it's a bit. So I use that sometimes as a mat. Used it as a towel, of course. Used it as, a towel at the Shoalhaven for a little rub down, little wash. Little beanie. Packs down to nothing, weighs nothing. Keep you a little bit warm.
That's part of my sleep system.
Yeah, look, I think it was part of my sleep system as well, but it just, that last day, it's just sort of pack it wherever you can.
Mm-hmm.
Day 1 and day 2. Nix, do you want me to unroll these?
No,
That's alright. I'll leave them
So
for
you
my wife
took
for later on.
3 pairs of Nix?
No, two. Yeah, so day 1 and day 2,
Okay.
and then changed to day 3 and day 4. So the advice was not to bother, just wear what you're wearing. But I figured that little luxury may well save other parts of your body from destruction. Leftover dinner from day 2, bought too many, was only 80 grams, figured can't have too many. Wearing glasses full time, I needed a redundancy. Coming down Tinderi or Talgandra or whatever it's called, if you come off, break your glasses, it's essentially race over. Weighs nothing, so chuck it in.
Yeah.
Also has a little cleaner in there. White one, I don't know why it's a white one. I didn't do it right on this, but anyway, that's what it is.
As much longer you would be in the brown one.
Absolutely. Right, this is a real luxury. So this is, I suppose, a mindset thing. How I went out on the ride as opposed to how I got back from the ride. So I had a coffee or two out on the course with the jet boil, but I came home with, 7 coffee sticks. Again,
probably wouldn't do that again.
they weigh nothing,
but
they take up space. So that's, less compression and all that sort of stuff. No, I would take some, but I wouldn't take 4 a day. I would take, maybe 2 a day, or think about it a bit more and maybe only take 4 for the whole trip, because you're going to be passing through towns if you really need a coffee, if that's your thing. Normal bikepacking, I would take that for sure, because you can stop on the side of the road and have coffee. Not a problem, not for you. Jet boil. Just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Just the normal stuff inside, nothing extra. Used it 1, 2, 3. 3. I think I used it 3 times. Day 1 dinner, day 2 breakfast, day 2 dinner, and that was it. Day 3 breakfast was cold. Day 3 dinner was in town. Day 4 breakfast was in town. So probably could be something that you could actually do without if you were super keen. If you were just going to go.
I'm sure lots of those guys did.
Oh, absolutely. So again, against advice, I took 3 pairs of socks, so 1 for sleeping in, because that's, I think, one of those nice little luxuries. And I took, just like the Nix, I took a pair of socks for day 1 and day 2, and another pair of socks for day 3 and day 4.
Yeah, the bad smelling stuff's coming out now.
That should be it. That's all the bad smelling stuff.
The dog's coming out.
Oh, the dog's coming out. And then, right at the very bottom of the pack, right down the guts, because I'm never going to need it, a little bit of string.
Yep.
Quite a bit of, but it doesn't weigh anything.
Yep.
I don't know. Tie something up.
I'm the same.
Yep.
Although I've got the string from my tub.
Yeah, so you already got some anyway.
Yeah.
Gauze swab for the huge accident I was going to have. Triangular bandage. Same, huge accident.
So you didn't have a first aid kit per se with a elastic bandage?
I thought I did.
I would have thought you would have.
I thought I did.
Because that's your best one against the snake bites and stuff.
Maybe I didn't. I thought I did. But it doesn't look like it unless it's in there somewhere. You start to lose track of things, which is another thing that you learn, I think, to make sure things go always back in the same spot. Zip ties, you can never have enough of them.
Because if you can't fix it with zip ties and duct tape,
it's not,
it can't be fixed.
no point. Right, so then we've got obviously the bottles. They can stay on there. 2 more bottles there, just normal bin size with the Velcro things.
They're litres, aren't they?
No, they're 800 mils, I think. Yeah, 7 there, so 750. I had a 29er pump, so a big, large volume pump, which I didn't even look at. Here I have, courtesy of 99 Bikes, my spares.
Yep,
Toolkit. So, little rag just because, some matches, just because you need matches. What's that, a glueless patch kit? Couple of...
Struggled with those lately.
Yeah, I've never had any great success with them. Couple of firelighters because I was going to enjoy a little fire each night at my camp. Some extra zip ties. You know, all those things that weigh nothing add up to weighing something, of course. So, you know, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have taken so much of that kind of thing. I had 3...
Well, there was that lady who did that pre-ride who completely trashed at the radio, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah. And then, you know, I sort of had that a little bit in mind, that sort of thing. But there's only so much you can account for as well. So spare tube number 1, so that's in an inner tube, plus it's wrapped. So I've got some tape there just in case something goes wrong. And also I reckon the last thing you want is to pull your brand new inner tube out and it's got a wear hole already in it.
I left mine in the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Space, but
it takes up more space, yeah. Yep.
But then at least you know it's going to wear through a whole stack of cardboard before you get to the new.
Absolutely. So I've got 2 specific Allen keys and I've got, there's another one on my chain brake which also has a couple of other different Allen key things and a bottle opener just in case you need it. And that would have done pretty much every bolt on the bike. I did need to tighten up the front bars once. A hanger, spare derailleur hanger, yep. A tyre repair kit, just your sort of standard stuff with glue that's fresh. So I specifically went to the shop and got a fresh glue because I'd heard many stories and I even had a story of my own when I rode down the coast over 2 days just before Christmas. Got down there, parents had a flat tyre, went to fix their flat tyre, got my kit out and it was all dry, bone dry. So I did the whole 2 days without
glue to patch something?
Without, yeah, exactly. And then this guy, front bag.
We already took the tent poles out of there.
Tent poles out of there. So there would have also been the battery pack in there as well.
Yeah.
That lived in there. Emergency blanket. Aussie butt cream. Don't ride anywhere without it. Another little baggie here which has sun cream. Hand sanitizer, RID, like insect repellent, chain lube, a little bit of soap, little leaflety soapy things.
Yeah, the Bachmann dish.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah, which I found quite good.
Yeah, Nina carries those all the time.
Yeah, that was handy as. And of course, because I'm Mr. Safety, a secondary Super glue, because you know, if something goes wrong, something's going to go wrong. And then a second, spare tyre levers. Never know. So I had 5 tyre levers in total. Only got 2 wheels. Had a full thing of this Boost Energy stuff. So just more of a flavour and a bit of energy thing than anything else I've since discovered. It has an awful lot of...
Got 74 milligrams of caffeine.
Well, there you go. So that's why I was buzzing the whole time. A lot of caffeine.
Per tablet, yeah, 74 milligrams of caffeine per tablet. So, and some guarana. There you go.
There you go. So that's what got me through.
Yeah, they look awesome. I like some of those. Yeah, Some of that water tastes terrible, so.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, you've got to have something in it, otherwise you don't want to drink it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then you get into all sorts of problems.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Firelighters, I don't know, it's, it's just, for this sort of event, just stupid. But, again, it doesn't weigh anything. All those things that don't weigh anything. Little lock.
All these things that don't weigh anything, how much do you reckon they weigh up to?
Yeah, well, that's exactly the thing. I mean, probably still only a couple of 100 grams, if that.
Mm.
But a couple of 100 grams when you're going up some of those hills, potentially, if you're trying to win the bloody thing, makes a difference. Little lock, it's not heavy, wouldn't do anything if someone really wanted to bike, but it's more of a hindrance thing. I think I would take it.
Yeah, cool.
It's people just move on to the next bike if they can. Second tube, same sort of thing, wrapped. Headlamp for around camp. I had to change the batteries in it, so good idea to take. So I took 4 AAAs. That takes 3 AAAs, so I'm left with 1 AAA, which is useless. So I really needed to take 5.
Yeah.
But that's these things. Some anti-cold throat lozenges to suck on. More so just in case I could sort of feel something coming on and thought I could at least maybe mentally knock it on the head by.
I actually heard an interesting story about some of those lozenges making people pee hot on mine sites. So some of them have an active ingredient that shows up a bit like methamphetamine.
Oh,
just had one.
When you say pee hot, not like temperature hot, but pee like there's a drug in the system. Okay, there you go.
So like guy with had a sore throat was taking them like lollies.
Yeah.
Pee hot. It's like
wow.
So but yeah, she had some on him.
Yeah.
So the nurse went, oh yeah, that's the active ingredient. Yeah,
there's your reason.
That'll cause you over the top. So not that you work on mine, so
no. Ainsley Harriet's couscous.
like you do.
Let's swear by it. That's dinners. That's fantastic. Boil up some water, chuck that in, chuck a thing of tuna in with it. Beautiful. A little bit of extra rope and a little flint. So, the question going back to, where's my medical stuff? I honestly thought I had more than that. No, hang on, sorry, I do. So, in this little triangular bandage here, I've got some alcohol wipes. I've got some. It's coming out now anyway. What's that? Iodine. I've got maybe a half a metre of elastic band-aids that have mould all over them, which is always going to be good. But hey, a couple of band-aids, some Panadol, and that. Triangular
yeah, the only thing I would add to that is like an elastic bandage.
For snake bites. Yeah, didn't really even consider that, to be honest.
No, I didn't see anything I fully expected to, but...
Yeah, I did see one little one. I saw a little red-bellied black snake. He was about that big.
Okay.
And he did whip back at me.
Ooh.
Where was that? That might have been on Bachmann Road. Anyway, it was somewhere. I saw him and, yeah. Okay. So also in here I have, at the very front, I have the battery for my main running light, courtesy of Darren Kent. Thank you very much, Darren Kent.
And did you run that during the day, or?
So I ran it, I ran this is like a secondary one that I ran generally during the day, just on a flash. When this one ran out of batteries, I ran this one, but I also had to run this one for about 2.5 hours on Sunday evening.
To get it to go?
Because, to get into the Shoalhaven camp, because I was 10 k's short on day one. I needed to make up those 10 k's, and that morning was just a hell of a, not much fun. Right. Giant 13 exacta cycle computer with just your normal K's time, just more for interest sake, and point to point stuff. Yeah. So I know there's 35 K's to go. I know I've done 70 K's. I know. And that's it.
Yeah.
Helmet, of course, gloves that I had the tip cut off so I could operate. So navigation was just with a Samsung Galaxy A8 on airplane mode.
And you were
with GPS.
happy with the quad lock?
Absolutely, yeah. I have since heard a couple of things, people saying that they're not that secure, but I found it to be perfectly secure. I didn't.
Yeah, I've been running mine for ages.
Any issues whatsoever.
I use a zip tie now because those eventually perish and break. So.
Yeah, well, I think this was actually new, but that's already perished and broke.
Yeah.
So that's zip tied on, but this is going to have to be moved anyway because this bar setup isn't normally there on normal.
The things you would change?
Besides any of the things that we pointed out in there, that was a bit of overkill.
Start with the bike. Do you think you'd get any wider tyres on there?
I think on the front you would.
So this is the 700 by 40.
I think on the front you might, but I'm not sure on the back. I had thought that maybe you could go with like a 42 and trim the side knobs. Could try that because a little bit more volume I think would be nice.
Would you be tempted into running the 650Bs with a bigger... So this is obviously 700C.
Would that fit?
So a 650B obviously makes the diameter of the rim smaller.
Yep.
And then you can fill that back up again with tyre. So
potentially. Like
a 650B running about like 1.9 to 2.0. I've seen a lot of people do that on the internet. So
okay. Yeah, potentially. I mean, the tyres ran beautifully. The whole bike ran beautifully, really. I made sure I lubed it religiously every day and cleaned off gunk as much as I could, a couple of times a day.
Because it's pretty dusty. It wasn't any mud out there that
wasn't wet. No, there was a couple of creek crossings, but they were all very low. Like there was one that I rolled through that my feet got a little bit wet, but that's only because I had 1 foot down, in that sort of fatigue state. But they were all you could all roll through them, even the one that you did on the Murrumbidgee. I mean, that was you could even roll through that.
Coppins Crossing?
Coppins, yeah. Well, one of those crossings.
Called something else.
Angle Crossing?
Angle Crossing.
Angle Crossing.
Down
from not Nicolago, but...
Borough.
Yeah, Borough, yeah. Down from there. So even that you could roll through. That wasn't an issue. You just have to make sure you're in a straight line. Obviously, it's pretty slippery. Would I change anything else?
Your saddle was good?
Look, so I think the saddle was fine. I can sit today. I had a sore ass, but doesn't everyone? I mean, I think even if you have a Brooks, you have a sore ass after 4 days in the saddle, don't you?
People have been riding on it for 6 or 7 years non-stop.
Yeah, so potentially that might be something that I might try. But I wasn't unhappy with the saddle. I thought I'd get a sore ass. I did get a sore ass.
And then which gears are you running? So it's a 34?
You'd have to tell me that. So it's stock standard. It's a 32-48.
Yeah, 48-32, and then on the back
is a... you tell me.
From memory, it's an 11-32, but
yeah,
so 36.
So I would definitely look at smaller front or larger back. However, that configuration can work. I was in the large chainring probably 30% of the time, 40% of the time in the last 2 days.
So what I've seen people doing now is running a 44-28, I think.
Yep.
So, like your big gear is obviously your lack, but then if you're running SRAM, you can run a 10 at the back, so it works out about the same.
Yep.
I think what I've got on, like my cyclocrossy type stuff is a 50-34, but I've got a 11-40 on the back.
Yeah, once you start talking that sort of stuff, I don't know. I just get lost in those sort of things. Certainly what I don't need is more top end.
Top end, yeah.
Because there was probably only 1% of the time that I would have gone even close to the top end.
Yeah.
And that's rolling down a 1 or 2k hill. When you're feeling okay, you're not feeling like you just need to not pedal for a while, you're feeling okay, so you try and push it.
I usually figure, especially with my one bike setups, that if I'm going faster than about 32 k's an hour, I'll just roll it.
Exactly. And yeah,
it's like, oh, I'm going to relax.
And the only time that I did pedal is it's almost when you're in a delirium of I need to get faster and this is my opportunity.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, what you should be doing is getting your drink bottle, just roll down and take the extra 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Drink, eat, you should be doing that sort of stuff, not pedaling.
Which will give you more energy later.
Exactly, yeah. So definitely the gearing, normal everyday riding, no problems. I think riding for an enjoyable bikepacking weekend, no problems. But doing something like this, when you've got a bit of gear on you and you're trying to do it quicker, I think I would try and change the gearing up a little bit.
So you wanted something that was a little bit lower?
Yes, yeah, definitely. Mainly only on day one and that first bit of day two. Otherwise it was okay. Otherwise it was fine. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I tweedled up that one, the big hill out of the Lego.
Yep. Were you able to ride over that?
Yeah, but it wasn't. But I've got a pretty low gear.
Probably no faster than walking though.
Not that much faster.
Yeah, as soon as I got to about 5 kilometres an hour, I just said it's not worth it anymore. I just got off and walked because I could walk at 4.5. Okay. And the extra energy that you're using trying to push the pedals over to ride the bike, not as easy just to push.
Sometimes it's nice to change up the muscles and stuff. Absolutely,
yeah, definitely, for sure.
If you've got comfortable enough shoes, then it's fine.
Yeah, shoes were fine. Shimano. Walk in front of the camera. What about ME7s?
Yeah.
They were good?
Yeah, you probably get something a bit lighter.
Absolutely, for an extra $150.
And stuff that you'd leave out next time?
Coffee, for sure.
Well, let's say, because the rumour is that he's going to do the same route pretty much.
Yep.
Just go the other way.
Next year?
Yeah, I mean that's what he traditionally does, but...
Yep.
If you were going to do that...
Yep.
Would you go much lighter? Would you go as light as good?
I'd probably try to, but knowing myself, I probably wouldn't be able to, because I don't really want to give up the chance or the availability of being able to sleep in a tent to sleeping in a bivvy. Like that sort of thing doesn't appeal to me. I'd try and trim some weight where I could. Wouldn't mind trying to get rid of the backpack, because you're just, you're hot and sweaty the whole time. But that means you've got to try and fit things in.
You've got a bit of room here. You've seen those little petrol tanky type stuff.
I have. Yep. I think I could change this system a little bit as well. I quite like the look of yours. That was on a bar of some sort, so presumably you can take that off easier.
In the rack. And then, so it's just a dry bag on a little semi sort of pannier type thing.
And again, I thought there was quite a bit of stuff here.
But the benefit of that is like it's locked to the seat post, so there's no sway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that makes a difference over distance. I would think about maybe my navigation a bit better as well. I'm not sure that, in fact, when I got to the end and Steve said, what navigation device did I use? And I showed him my phone, he was shocked that I was able to do the whole thing on my phone. Literally, that I was able to do the whole thing on my phone. I was like, what? On your phone? Like, that's what they are, aren't they? They're a GPS, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't take the belt.
Well, you need to. In New South Wales.
I get that.
Save yourself $500.
Sure. Well, then I might. Okay.
All right. There's other places to put it.
To be fair, I did use it a couple of times on the Centenary Trail.
Because
there was people hiking on there.
Yeah.
I even did it in jest a couple of times to some of my fellow riders as I overtook them. Other thing was another rear flashing red one.
Yeah.
I would probably think more about this light as well, and maybe not so much have it as a rechargeable light, but have it as a battery light.
Yeah, because you never intended to ride through the night, did you?
There was never any intention to ride at night at all. It just so happened I wanted to have that possibility if I had to, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I made that call at 5 o'clock in the afternoon in Braidwood that I needed to get that. I think it was 55 or 60 k's out of the way. Otherwise, I knew that I'd have a 150 kilometre day the next day. I needed to make sure it was only 140 kilometre day the next day. Because the 10 k's you think is not going to make a difference, but it does. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I think I could lighten things up. All of those sort of things probably could be a bit lighter. I don't know. I don't think there's much else that I wouldn't take. There's 2 bags there for the Sawyer, but I used them when I did it. It was beautiful to go to the river, fill up 2 bags, and then walk back to camp instead of having to carry everything down and buggerise around. Probably wouldn't take that cup. Just think it's a luxury. Anything you see that you wouldn't take?
No, I mean, it's pretty much identical to what I took, except I'm hammocking instead of tenting.
Yeah.
I've got a big bottle cage here.
Anything cage or whatever it is?
No, it's actually it's a BBB cage, but it takes a 1.25 litre of Coke.
So I have a clearance issue there.
Yeah.
So I can get one of these guys in, if you have a look at it.
Yeah.
It's
only just sprayed with all the dirt and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. But you're not. I wasn't concerned about that at all at any stage. These sort of things were horribly muddy.
Yeah.
And when you're riding normally and that happens, you get a mouthful and it's horrible. But when you're doing this sort of thing, you just go, it's just like whatever. It's a bit of dirt. You're eating dust the whole time. So.
No.
I think I'd try and compress things a bit more. So it might be the same amount of stuff, but it would try to be in less space. So, maybe the backpack on, or I did find that this bag here was maybe a little bit overfilled, and if I didn't have it packed right, I was getting a bit of a rush on the leg every time you pedal.
That's one
thing
I really noticed about the fat bike, even though it's got 29 wheels on it.
Yeah.
The cranks are 100mm wide, and then the pedals out from that. So, I knew my frame pad was big, chock full, but still didn't rub because my pedals were so wide.
You don't have hip issues or anything then?
Nah.
Because I often have a knee issue, just like a little bit of niggling knee pain, but I didn't feel any of that at all on this ride whatsoever.
That's good.
Which is a good thing. Which obviously presume means that the setup is right. The sizing and the positioning is right.
Is how long have you had this bike? 6 months?
6 months, yeah.
Can't remember when you got it.
6, maybe a bit longer, maybe 8 months.
Yeah, but you've been pretty happy with it, so.
I've been very happy with it. Yeah. I think the initial tyres were fine for just sort of road riding. You couldn't do anything else on those though. I know they were quick, but these are quite quick too. You pump them up enough, and I'm very happy with these tyres. I have a lot more confidence now on this bike with these tyres as well, hitting some harder stuff where I was a bit, ginger about it before. Some of the stuff that we've ridden now, no problems. It's not an issue.
Yeah.
As you've said on your orange bike before, you've done Stromlo. Yeah, you do Stromlo easy on that.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Do some of the jumps.
Yeah.
No worries.
No, they're amazingly versatile. You could put, set a 25C slicks on it and take it road riding all day.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
That's what I love about them. Every person that came into the shop, have you considered a gravel bike?
Yeah.
Because they do so many things. If they came into me and said, I'm going to be road racing, then hey, yes, you want the lightest and the twitchiest and whatever.
Yeah.
But everyone else, if they didn't consider a gravel bike, I'm like, it's kind of strange.
Yeah, maybe you should.
If you don't want that cutting edge performance, then this is so much better, so much more versatile, and
much more comfortable riding position.
Yeah, I mean you've seen what it can do now, so.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it.
We just need one made out of titanium.
Just one made out of titanium. Yeah.
Anything else?
See you next year. You included.
We'll see.